I would like to invite the participants of the panel session. So please welcome Ms. Ulrika Hurt. Ulrika is a researcher and an expert on interoperability in international logistics and paperless supply chains. She has been part of preparatory works on FT and coordinated studies and analysis works on the application of the regulation. Ulrika has been consulting European Commission via DTLF. Ulrika also is a consultant to Estonian Ministry of Economic Affairs, is the author of the concept model of the original ECMR indexing, and a key person for initiating, piloting, and prototyping of FT platforms, as well as a good friend of ours. So please welcome Rimantas Žylius. Rimantas is advisor to the Prime Minister on digital transformation, open data, public procurement, and their leverage on industrial policies. Rimantas is an experienced executive with a proven track record in public and private sectors. He possesses a wide mix of mixed skills and knowledge required to address complex problems. The next participant of this session is Mr. Martynas Sarapinas. He is Chief Information Officer at Girteka. Girteka's strategy is to be among top 10 Europe logistic leaders by 2026. Is that right? Martynas' responsibilities cover all aspects of our organizational digital transformation, including technology and engineering functions, strategy execution initiatives, operational excellence, and global business services leadership. Please welcome Egidijus Skrodenis, Head of ITS Group at Infobalt. We have already met Egidijus today. Adding to what has been said earlier, Egidijus is a founder of several startups, profound expert and consultant in transport IT projects. So we have heard numerous presentations today regarding ECMR, EFTI possibilities and applications. And I would like, with the first question, to come back to the roots of the session, that is NDPTL. So a Northern Dimension Partnership for Transport and Logistics has been created to impose partnership with Russia, Belarus, and Norway. And under this flagship, a lot of projects have been created. One of that is ECMR. So evaluating the current situation in the world, in Europe, and the war that is happening in Ukraine, do you think in our region we still need ECMR as such, as a product, and how it will be applicable in the nearest future? So who would like to open this discussion?
I think I can start with a few words. You know, the world is never stopped. And okay, if we have a close border with Russia and Belarus, then we have a more intensive open of the border with Norway, with Moldova, with Balkans and Central Asia countries. And these solutions are, I would say, not only ECMR or FT or digitalization, faster document exchange is needed, and even for these countries. I'm working mostly with Central Asia countries and was this year in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan and other countries, and they are looking at Lithuania and saying, oh, you are so digitalized, maybe you can provide these solutions for us. For that reason, I think that okay, we closed 2 borders, but we open much more borders. Okay, it will take time to rethink what we are doing. We will need the time to establish new connections, but that is world. It's all. It is always changing, and we, as fast we adopt to this, the more efficient and more successful we are.
Thank you, Egidijus. Then this was I think the reflection on IT businesses' perspectives, and as an expert of IT, transport and logistics, and maybe a representative from businesses, from large businesses, could add on that.
I think coming back, first of all, why CMR is in place, and why we have these paper documents is about to ensure that, you know, the shipper, the company which is doing the delivery, and the customer kind of have everything in one place. Now it's a paper document, more or less. Do we need it to be digital? Answer is shortly yes. So I think the question itself, what you're raising, is about, do we need the digitization? And I think answer is also yes, so we need it. How to do it, I think it's another question, how easy to do it, and so on. But I think from a business company perspective, CMR is one of the documents which is a huge lever to your money. So if you are in a company thinking about you know, your cash flows, I think you really care about making it super effective, capturing it as early as you can, you know, and then making your payments move faster. So I think in all these cases, I think the answer is yes.
Thank you for this position. And Ulrika, do you think the upcoming EU FTI regulation would be compliant with the ECMR, what has been already ratified by a number of countries?
This is the question I get very often, thank you. Saying, some ask, yes, there is EFTI, but we have ECMR, we wouldn't more or less care about EFTI, or the other way around. They have to coexist. And EFTI nevertheless doesn't include ECMR, and EFTI is EU internal, and ECMR is wider. I would only talk about ECMR, not CMR anymore. And they have to walk together, because most of the EFTI data that you have, or that you have to report through EFTI, is on CMRs, on ECMRs. And the businesses would only have, it's a business document, business to business mainly. Yes, of course, for reporting purposes as well, but it is there for supporting the business processes as well as the business contracts. And then having that in a digital form, compliant, so that you can use the data for FT reporting is the only way that we could have the full picture. And the uptake of both the EFTI and the ECMR, so that it has to be a joint ecosystem, despite they don't fully overlap.
Thank you. And to summarize this issue, Rimantas, as all the regulations are pursued by the government. So how are we here? What is our progress in Lithuania, and how do we foresee this issue to continue?
This question of initiative, I mean, the role of government definitely is always the one for discussion. I mean, how much we should leave, I mean, this, what we discussed in the digitization, definitely is inevitable. Kind of, the digitization is coming on the speeds we choose as a governments, as the nations, or as businesses. And for me, this is a question really about, are we the front runners who are kind of taking an action to reap most benefits? I mean, are we the ones who have faxes first, or or are we the last ones buying faxes when you cannot do any business anymore without it? So, and here, Lithuanian government at least has very clear ambition that this digitization of transportation is one of the areas where it's not about IT anymore. It's not about how much GDP is created by IT industry, but how much saturation of IT can improve our overall economy or competitiveness of our logistics sector. So, to my understanding, this is really fulfillment of the mission of IT as such. How to make this work, and definitely with the plans on EFTI, of this government is to, first of all, to make sure that there's ambitious plan to implement, to move or to push Lithuanian business, if they want it or not, kind of to push to that direction. I hope that this will be in a process which we really kind of accumulate all the energy of the sector to move together. And yeah, and so in order to reap these benefits of not only having our transport more efficient, but really to have this opportunity to work in this business together with IT companies in logistics.
So as far as I understand, the value is here. The digitalization value creates the additional services, additional value to the sector. And now my question then would be, who pays for that? Who pays for the cost of the digital projects, of the transformation, of the digitalization in transport and logistic chains? And while somebody has to pay and somebody receives the returns of investment. So what would be your perspective? Who should invest into this, the value creation?
Let the light be. Let the light come. Somewhere the digitization should come. I think everyone should invest, but the reasoning for investing is always connected to return on investments or quick understandings, how much would I save then? But these measurements of how you can understand how much you will save, we don't have the methodologies yet, because the savings will be in supply chains in locations that are dark currently. They're unmapped, and to really understand that the full picture, we need to take a few steps on studies to motivate how much of the wins who would actually have, and who would be the surprise winners. Like, for example, the industries, the cargo owners have not understood their wins in this context, and have only thought that maybe it would be the logistics industries, or that the win is only of the printed paper, which is not so. I think everyone should pay a bit to joint effort, my opinion.
So the private sector, IT or transport?
I can probably say, if I read it right, all these changes in 2018 calculation, it was valued to be around 4.4 billion, yeah, so it's a huge amount of money. So
Costs.
Yeah, costs, yeah. So to invest, and then also then obviously to reap the benefits when the platforms are live and so on. But that was in 2018 money, yeah? And all the inflation and everything have inflated. So probably we should add 20% more, so maybe it's 5 or 5.5 billion. So it's a huge cost. It's also important, I think that one of the speakers spoke about it. Many companies, for example, when we talk private companies, especially logistics, are small. So they don't have no IT department. They are more or less, the person, the driver, someone who is kind of maybe doing the billing, and that's it. And there is only a fraction of huge enterprises which probably already far ahead with the digitization of the industry and so far. So it probably we should look back at the word of regulation. Yeah, FT is a regulation. So if that is coming from a central point, it has to be led, by the governments and the European probably funding mechanisms to fund it out. What is probably very clear is, and that's where we have, more representatives of IT industry, is that companies will always look like startups to jump on the great opportunity. So as soon as they have probably sketch of the idea or the problem which industry is trying to sort, so there will be these, innovators which will jump in that. But to be honest, these probably like 5 billion or 5 and a bit, it's something that has to come from some kind of, central pocket. And who is owning that pocket? I don't know.
So first, then maybe Egidijus has something to say. Will IT companies will assist to those small transport and logistic companies investing in some tools or something like that?
Yes, of course. business is always connected with other business, and we are supporting. And when Martinas was talking, I was thinking that even now, these big and small logistic companies on the same topic are cooperating with other companies for the paper sellers. And that means that they buy cheap paper, writes a lot of these documents, and then spend a lot of time, public agencies and businesses somewhere putting to the databases and etc. And it means that expenses are different. Okay, now will appear these IT companies with the solutions, and some of them will invest. And okay, the small logistic companies will not be able to create or develop their own products. Then they will buy a subscription or then will hire. And it means that they will move from paper sellers, they will go for IT companies to buy the solutions, and they will save a time. And you know, it's in that way business is working. And when we discuss with our companies in association, we have 170 of them, and they are looking as an opportunity, like Martina said, and they just wait what will be the architecture and will be requirements, and they will invest or will try to attract or loan the money and be first in the market to propose the best solution and attract these governments and logistic companies.
So maybe I could as well make a point that I absolutely agree that especially when we think about big costs, which is, I would as well support this view that it's not new costs, but it's a shift of costs. So you kind of cease some of the wasteful operations in order to put your resources into something which is more efficient and so on. But the adaptation, 4 billion of adaptation costs means that there's a huge opportunities for businesses in order to make it better, in order to make it more affordable and so on. And at least in Lithuanian government plan, what we approved about EFTI kind of deployment is very clear kind of wish expressed that we want Lithuanian government to do as little as possible in this area, meaning that we really want to pool energies of the business to do what they can, because if government does something, it definitely will not be innovative. I mean, maybe it will be innovative in the version 1, but we will not have finances to support it, to change every half a year in order to improve, to add new features and so on. And to my understanding, that means that we want it to be driven by business, because business will be driven by kind of wish to add value and so on, not by budget. And this is, to me, is a crucial thing of the vibrant kind of ecosystem.
And referring to what Rimantas has said, Ulrika, what would be the European Commission's perspective on that? Who should come first, government or private sector?
The European Commission foresees that governments take care of their own developments to take the information that they need to ask from the platforms so that they make themselves compatible. They adjust their IT systems. Probably and possibly they build or set up or at least organize the access points, national access points or EU gates, FD gates, however you name that. And then they foresee that, that the IT industry or the industry that you referred, the IT industry would pick up and make a huge number, not very vast, but still a broad variety of service platforms that take care of the industry. And also in a way that, that those services would not be old school, buy a big module, install, want to have a new module, then pay another 10,000. But it would be new type of services and platform services and software as a services that also the smaller companies can pay as they go per volume that they use, and that these platforms also would be working on standards in harmonized way, also to allow the users to move from one platform to another, as well as these platforms to be able to submit data to various governments without needing too many different adjustments, so that also the part would be there. So the governments are expected to pay their part, and the service providers are to put money in. Yet there is small budget that, or not too small, that the Commission is also allocating for supporting these developments, so that they're not building it themselves, but there are support measures available for both.
And Martinas, so haven't heard that. So what would be your company's position as one of the largest logistic companies? Will you go forward first, or you will wait for the government actions? What would be your plans in digital transformation in this huge project?
I think first of all we will go at our own speed for probably our own needs, and not just for one type of document exchange. Could be for real-time visibility, carbon reporting, and any things which we believe is future. Because I think we at that size where we have to put a standard somewhere, sometimes in the market, make a stamp, and leave something behind us, so that people remember us as a company also on a positive highlight. But I agree with Ulrika on the process, probably on the staging, yeah? So like what is to come. I think this is very important about this government kind of shaping the sketch of the blueprint of the regulation, and then inviting also the private companies to also get an understanding of how to really use in business, how to harvest and reap the benefits when it's in place. Probably stage 2 is where IT companies or even private companies kind of look and say, okay, this is a structure, this is a blueprint, this is how we want to make it, this is how we're going to make it real, yeah? And then the last stage is the adoption. So then when platforms are there, how to really use and etc. So from our company's standpoint, I think we're at the stage where if you will come to adoption, we will definitely use it. But what these companies big like us have to do, they have to prepare their own technology to connect to whatever the solutions there will be. Because in Europe, there could be multiple, interfaces of this platform or a central hub where we can connect. So for us, I think because we cover not just one corridor, so we need to be technology proven. So probably while the discussions take in the government about the blueprint, we really work hard to kind of lift the platform. So we are like API ready, and all of these technology buzzwords. So I think it's like different staging, and probably we are in different tact, on each. I think we can definitely be when the government is shaping the regulation, we can be at this sounding board advice to give how does it really look from different angles. Because on this thing, I think there is the shipper. So there could be a big company which is producing something and shipping. There is a company like a carrier, like us. But there is then the receiver or the customer. And each of us have different expectations. And we have to probably hear of it. Because if we create a solution which fits all of those three, that's a huge win. That's best products. It's how Apple products are created. If we miss one of these, someone is not happy when the solution is final, Hopefully it's not, one of the big pieces of that. So.
If I may, I think excellent comment. Except I would like to disagree with not disagree in a well, this is how it works, definitely. But there are some examples where we can really hope that we can pull it off differently. If Amazon, when they started Bookshop, they would say, okay, we need cloud services. Let's wait until Microsoft will make it right, and then we will use it. That one approach, a lot of companies did exactly this, and they use Microsoft Cloud and so on. But the point is that Amazon said, we need it, we are big enough to pull it off, so let's make it right in our way. And now they are biggest providers of the cloud. So my hope is that if our IT industry with a bit probably of help with the government. And our logistics companies, probably big ones who has big needs, big expectations, I mean, that has real power and real money behind, that if you would choose not to wait until you will be a happy users, but choose to be those who are championing things, I think that could be a huge change of dynamics, both in what product you will receive at the end, which to my understanding would be better, and in fact, maybe inventing a business like Amazon, something new, you do your freighting, but as well having, something else.
Yes, Egidijus.
I would like to add what you just talked about IT business. We have a very different businesses, and it starts from initiating, consultation, then developing, piloting, and etc. And even in these processes, IT companies or IT consultation companies are interested just go with closed eyes somewhere and to develop something, and that is business, or help for governments to attract. And then when it's already discovered architecture and etc., other companies will retake and will develop and will sell. And these first companies will go to look another new things, what to discover and pilot or etc. I think in all stages, just from initiation to already adaptation and using, different business can have benefits, and they will find a place to be there and earn the money and grow the economy. And I think that another thing is very important, that I know Lithuanian, Estonian, Finnish companies, they are already trying to develop their own FT platforms. They are going step by step, trying to invest, looking for the possibilities to get funds, because these experiences will support even European Commission and governments what to do and what not to do, and that is very important too. And another thing, I think, we always have a competition, and to enter to the existing market, it is not easy, because you need to invest, because there was already a lot of companies who invested a lot, and they have already very good products and etc. And when FT or ECMR appears, it is totally plain. Yes, and then you have a very good start position, even for being small company or being a big company, to do that. For that reason, I think for IT sector, for other companies, it is a good start and good possibility to do business.
Yes, totally agree. And now, next year in February, if I'm not mistaken, we are expecting delegated acts to the EU EFTI regulation. So what we as country could do as homework, or we as region should do as homework to be prepared and to just start right after we know how the FT regulation will be like?
No.
I can just say that we are doing our homework. So we are in progress with our homework daily basis, the same cooperation that we're doing, the same event here, the same projects that we're running, the Ready for FT network that is growing, the MOUs and the ministerial ones, the project preparations. It is all our homework, the feedbacking to the Commission. What we'll learn in February are some basic lines. What we'll learn next year in August are the rules for FT platforms, those possibly also like FT platforms / ECMR platforms as well, if those would be FT compliant. And we can, by knowing that what the specifications maybe are, that there are options still, but we know the groups of the requirements, so we can start adjusting and do also the homework in understanding that this, even though to 2025 seems very far, but it's coming, and not ignore and not wait until the regulation is there to start reacting and starting to understand what it is about. if you don't know what FTA is, it's the latest minute to start learning what FTA is, to at least, you know, adapt to the mindset and starting to understand the concept and the market, and then see your opportunities and these steps that you have to take.
Egidijus had wished to...
Yes, I just...
Took
I
your
will,
words.
yes, I will cut my words, but I think that, yes, we are already doing this homework and we are not standing in the place. And before this February, even we have a possibility to come with our experience, what we're doing already for FT, NDPTL, DinoCap, and other projects, or real business cooperation and development. And that even can change the game rules, because we will come with experience. And yesterday we had a quite good discussion that people in European Commission who are doing the decision, maybe they never met any truck driver in person, and they don't really understand what is that. Sometimes for them it's not easy even to write their name and surname on the paper, and how will they use the phones. I checked the usiness of smartphones in different countries, and sometimes we talk that ECMR will do everything with iPhone or Samsung or whatever. And I checked that people from Kazakhstan, 55% is just usiness of smartphones. It means this is a real good practices, what we need to add to the Brussels, to this European Commission, and say that maybe sometimes we need to go slower or faster, or change a bit our imagination from real businesses. And that actually every day we are working and doing these projects, or trying to understand the real processes, and Ulrika provides that to European Commission, and maybe the influence from this homework will be in February done from this team.
Thankfully, it's not only me. I also see more people who work with the Commission directly, also from the member states' perspective. But it is as well, they haven't met the driver, but sometimes they have heard all sorts of obstacles and barriers, and therefore start hesitating. And what our message has been is like, please do not hesitate. Let's map as many barriers as we can, because then we can sort all the solutions for those barriers. So the more barriers we have, the more solutions we can create, and the quicker we know about them, then the quicker we can have even a placeholder if we wouldn't know exactly how to solve that yet.
So we figured out that we have influencers here on stage and also in the audience to those who will take the decisions on the regulation. So I would like to ask Martynas, what would be your message? Maybe you would like to say something to the people who are drafting these documents to take attention to while creating documentation and the legal acts?
I think Ulrika already and Nicole have already mentioned quite a few things, so I think I can only build and support its right approach. I think what is probably I see I have to come to a place where probably private companies also have to be ready to connect digitally to some of these platforms when they are ready at some point, because creating platforms inside companies is also a big piece of work. And let's be clear, I think logistics sector is quite not that digitized as e-commerce, like or Amazon as an example, and so on. That's why we don't have these success stories in logistics and we have them in e-commerce. But it's a huge work to do in the house, probably to prepare. And probably a message to everybody who is sitting in this room and maybe looking online is that we are customers of any products which we buy online. So I think all these things where we are demanding of one-day delivery, CO2 neutral transportation, eco-friendly package, all of these things are raising the bar, and I think really pushing the industry to go digital. So it will also help, because as soon as customers are demanding for it, always easier, yeah, if all society wants it. So because then you probably also somehow pay a fraction of that small cost on your own. And I think that's also a big role of all of us, be still very demanding, yeah. And I think Amazon teaches that you can be really demanding. Probably many Years ago, nobody would imagine that someone can do one-day delivery, or and now it's more or less a standard, like a prime delivery and so. And we can also see some deliveries like within an hour in some countries, yeah. So I think that's being demanding as a customer is a huge thing privately, probably. For the businesses, it's just preparation, probably, and being active where we can contribute it. But I agree with what was mentioned. I think nothing to add to that.
Yeah, my maybe biggest concern was, and probably answering this question about the how to be prepared. I think what we are facing with EFTI is the imminent change of the whole market. Kind of, the market will be digitized, and there's basically no way around it. I mean, I don't say in how many years, but there will be. So basically, I don't know, I think we need to think about how to deliver this message to everyone in the industry about you need to prepare to change. I mean, you need to, as you say, if the part of the industry is not even digital, I don't know how that can be, but then you need to be prepared, or you need to have exit strategy. I mean, how you will sell your trucks, just start planning this. Because the future will be, I mean, we know how the future will look like, so that has to be kind of a feeling of imminent change.
So here I see one of the biggest challenges, how governments cooperate with the private sector. And that would be my last summarizing question. So what shall we do next for the governments to talk more to the private sector to talk more to the governments, and maybe have a common strategy, not maybe only for one country, for Lithuania, for example, or for the whole region. So what shall we do next to make these projects be implemented smoother and to have EFTI, ECMR working sooner than later? Egidijus.
Yes, I can say, because it is.
Go.
It is. Yeah. It is best to be first, because that that you need to rethink what to say. That is yes. But yes, Inga, I think you mentioned what we shall do. We shall go and do things, and actually we are doing. I think that people with the motivation and not be afraid to take the responsibility and take people on board and go. I think that is a solution what we shall do, and I am personally very happy that this is ready for FTI. If to check what people and the companies are under, they are just burning inside to do something, to go, to develop, to involve, to work in the groups, and that is, I think, the main success key. And actually that is going. We don't need to do anything else. And the government, ministry, and Latvian, Estonian, Finnish, Polish, they are all on board, and we have almost every week meetings and discussions how to move further. That is already, I would say, success story. What we need to do, not to stop.
Good point. Yes, Ulrika, so we'll make it through the table.
No, you need to think about what to say.
Yeah. To me, exactly, complementing. We are to take initiative, unfortunately or fortunately, in uncertainty. We know we have the digital goal. We have some mid-milestone locations where we know that the governments will need to accept digital documents. That will be 2025. So at least we know partially the destination that will be on our journey, which aligns a certain of an understanding. And we have to be courageous to say, yes, we dedicate ourselves to few cooperation projects for which also in that we don't have all the milestones, all the pathways, because some of the project deadlines, for example, are before all the rules are finalized. So we'd have to say, we are on this journey together, we decide to go, we leave some space for adjustment, but just have to go. The same goes for the industries. Just start seeking your pathway, not ignore.
Yeah, and from my side, I would say that this is a challenging situation where what I fear is what you described, the situation where business will sit back and wait until these things are here so that we can use. Until Microsoft comes and does everything and we will use it. Because somebody of colleagues said, I as well believe that in these places where new things are started, there are opportunities for small countries. I mean, if we think about big things, established things, these are really for big boys or girls. I mean, the established countries with the big capital, with the, established business kind of environments and so on. And for us, for small countries, it's really difficult to kind of, I mean, Griteka definitely is one of the examples where that even there we still can, but usually it's difficult. And here, business opportunities for equal business opportunities are created. So my really hope is that if we think really collaboratively how we can pull it off and kind of understand each other, try to talk to each other more, that we can really make environment where business can take risks, kind of to do steps forward in order to be able to reap these opportunities.
Very nice. I want to maybe summarize it because I agree with all the points mentioned of the colleagues. I think it's very clear, and I think that risk of having product which doesn't fit and maybe waiting for too long is obviously very imminent. And it shouldn't be like that. And I think what I hear is the dialogue is already ongoing, and there is a regular pattern, so which is good. Probably what is also very important is to utilize Lithuania capacity, because Lithuania has a huge engineering capacity. If you look, I have been working for all my life in IT, and many big brands have been coming to Lithuania because we have unique oil. Yeah, we don't have oil to drill out, but we have these smart people and engineering capability, and I think we definitely have this unique maybe opportunity to shine and be very equal to the big brands or in this specific segment. So we definitely have to utilize that potential which we have. Otherwise, then we leave it for the big guys and big girls, as you mentioned. And I think that's a unique point. I think if collaboration is ongoing and there is room for maneuver due to regulation, I think I would just echo one thing, not just go and do, because go and do sometimes is not just the smartest way. It's sometimes maybe watch, learn, and do. So if we can do that, because there is good initiatives like Estonia is doing, we've seen many initiatives which colleagues have mentioned. So there is some good things pre-developed, about open code practices and etc. So that means it can be reused. And everybody knows it's better to maybe reuse what is done, Why to invent a wheel? So I would just echo, smartly do it, because I think Lithuania aim or our Baltics region aim is to be, as I like to say, world velocity. So have that velocity to target the right thing, which is moving, and achieve it from one go. So if we can do that, I think we have all the opportunities.
So this is a nice finalizing word, achieve it. So thank you very much. I enjoyed this discussion and the whole session a lot. Hope every one of you enjoyed that. Thank you very much for all the panel discussion, the participants.
Thank you for having us.